3 years ago, we were asked to provide a piece of work on personal branding, and we were doing that with some young people in mainstream education in years 10 and years 11, and we also ran that out with sixth formers, using the lockdown period as a time just to refresh some of the resources. I came across it again and thought, you know what, this has got some legs, so maybe we could read it out once more. We could offer it to schools, offer it to colleges, but also offer it to employers and say, look, is there something here that applies to working on the personal brand you want your employees to have, and how that speaks about your company, your organisation. Anyway, let's just move on to the presentation now, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Really important to us to keep this as simple as we can. So we wanted our group to understand that their personal brand exists between the way you see yourself and the way other people see you, and most importantly, that is something you can manage. The next 3 slides are of 10 global brands, and we wanted to present these to the group, just get them talking. You know, what do you know about them? What do they mean to you? And that was a good conversation, a good question and answer session. What we were able to get across, and it seems very important, is that if you've got a strong brand, you are more likely to navigate a disaster than if you have a weak one. And 1 or 2 of these companies here have experienced difficulties that might have sunk a lesser company with a weaker brand. We were then able to suggest that this is something that you might want to think about when you're building your personal brand, that you make it a strong, robust personal brand that suggests that in spite of what might happen from time to time, you are okay, you can be trusted, you can be relied upon to put it right. An important fact to get over is that we're all going to face knockbacks from time to time, but if our personal brand is strong enough, we're going to be able to navigate that and reset our lives. Unfair though it is, as a species we do rush to snap judgments, and we were able then to demonstrate that from the previous slides that brand association produces a response and some memories and some feelings and experiences, and we can talk about them, we can articulate them quite clearly. What we don't want to create are the sort of feelings that are expressed in these faces, where people have actually seen your personal brand for just a few seconds, and this is the sort of response it creates. And I think all of you will agree, there is nothing worse than being badly judged by a baby. And here's me projecting the solo biker riding through the west of Ireland, strong, independent. It's not always that good, and it doesn't always look that cool. And the next slide brings together a combination of elements that can certainly break that cool, solo, strong biker image in a matter of seconds. Here we go. I'm sure there are sound ecological reasons for wasps to be on the planet, and people will say, well, they pollinate flowers, and I'll be saying, yeah, that's true, so do bees, so let's just have less wasps and more bees. And part of my deep entrenched dislike for wasps is around that small gap between the chin piece of your full face crash helmet and the top of your leather jacket, and there's just enough space there for a wasp to get in and to sting you regularly and often until you've actually got the crash helmet off and you can manage to do something with him. I don't like them, and what they've done for me in the past is not only caused me quite a lot of pain lasting several days, but they've also blown away completely any image of the strong, cool biker, because there's nothing cool about throwing your crash helmet off, taking your jacket off and swatting yourself running up the side of a road. So let's just remember that whatever image we build, it can come undone pretty quickly. But the wasp leads us into probably a far more interesting place about perceived brand and what we do if we get the wrong perception. Let's have a look. Here's a deal for the hoverfly. I'm sure in evolutionary processes it must have thought it's done really well. Hey, we look like wasps, nobody's going to hurt us. Well, actually they get hurt precisely because they do look like wasps. What we were trying to project to the young people was that you're judged very quickly by your image. So let's just stretch this with the hoverfly just a little bit further and talk about what happens to them. And what happens to the hoverfly is that people generally roll up a magazine and batter it to death. It doesn't even have the pleasure of getting a sting in before it goes because it hasn't got one. What are we trying to get over to our group here? we're saying that people react very quickly to what they see. And although this is a bit of an extreme reaction, and I wouldn't seriously expect anybody to go around hitting you with a rolled up magazine, it's just that idea of, I'll look later in greater depth, but my initial reaction is based on what I perceive to be seen in front of me. It's not always really what's in front of me. So it comes back to this kind of idea about the person who you think you are and the person who someone else thinks you are needs to be thought about very carefully, because you could be projecting an image that's not going to help you at all, like the hoverfly. So let's see if we can steer clear of the hoverfly club and build an image that inspires a little bit of confidence and acceptance from people. It's something that we need to do, and we need to do it properly. So post-its, paper, no strong view. What I want to do is to get from the group an idea of their top 5 individual strengths. Not always easy to do, so I tend to say, can we have 2 as a bare minimum? 5 would be great. And also a few prompts that just get the thinking going. Resilience, strength, reliability, honesty. I want to get their thinking going, not do their work for them. But as I'm sure you'll appreciate, sometimes we do have to sort of push it along a little bit to get them to enter the right thought processes. How much do we allow for this? Probably, I don't know, 2-3 minutes, just to get a sense of urgency about it and a sense of pace about it. This is probably one of the exercises that could be extended if you were doing this over a longer session, or even over a couple of sessions. So let's open up a few different neural pathways, shall we, by expressing our strengths as an animal. Strong use of metaphor here, and metaphors tend to stick. It's a slightly different learning experience. I'm not all that concerned with them being actual animals. If they want to use mythical beasts, that's fine by me. But what I want is that they've actually got something that they can hang that strength on. And again, here's another section of the activity that really leaves itself open to some expansion. We move into the idea of colour, the representational value of colour to talk to your strengths. And again, building up this strong idea of visual imagery and metaphor. And if we describe our sense as a sound, what sort of sound is it? Is it an explosion? Is it a roar? Is it a gentle sound? You've got the picture. Once again, the whole opportunity to extend and to integrate with the previous parts of the session present themselves in this area, and it's one of the sections of the delivery that I think there's some really powerful opportunities for some quite creative expansion here. So a little bit of reflection and review. Have we actually done this now? Have we thought about how we can manage that little space in the middle bits between how we see ourselves and how other people see us? And here's a part where I tend to emphasize the value of telling yourself a story. So we set it out, as you can see, in quite a light-hearted Once Upon a Time. However, what I'm looking for now is for them to personalize themselves in this story. So they're invited to make some adjustments. This generally goes out on a printed handout. And looking at the orange bit, that's a challenge that they've got to take on, and it's something that they might not choose to do, but they've got to do it. And I'll let that come from their own personal experience. I then encourage them to think of a couple of the strengths that they've identified previously, and to think about how that strength might help them to meet those challenges. And then I invite them to finish off the story. We bring things to a conclusion with just reminding our young people about the purposefulness of work, and how actually work training itself is a bit of a bridgehead into a whole new life. And taking, if you like it, I suppose, some of the softer skills are involved here. Really important to me that no job is just. You've got a job, you've actually got a gateway, a passport. And what we're also trying to emphasise to our young people is you never know who you're talking to, and you could be talking to the very person who could make some things happen to you. So we really do need to create a favourable impression, somebody that makes people think, you know what, I think I could work with you. Also need to visit this kind of notion that sometimes your strengths are your weaknesses. We don't have to play our A game all the time. It can be quite off-putting for some. So this is just a timely reminder and something of a wrap-up of the session. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope there's some some threads there, some nuggets that you might find quite useful. Love to develop this with you in your school, your college, your organisation, and some contact details follow. Looking forward to hearing from you. Take care now and cheerio.